Hey, what's going on, guys? Phil here, and welcome to some Mechwarrior Online patch notes for September of 2021. We're going to go through this line by line, let you guys know what is changing, what's happening. This video is sponsored by Ramen. I'd like to give a quick shout out to them. Actually, they play Mechwarrior Online, which I do as well, and it just so happens they reached out and were like, hey, do you like ramen? And I was like, I do. And they're like, well, let's talk. So let's talk about Ramen. I actually sat down with the owner and operator, one of the brothers, Tim, and he told me about how they got started. Obviously, they grew up eating ramen, and they wanted to make it a little bit more nutritious. They were in college, lifting weights. And they're like, there's got to be a better way. So this is a 500 calorie, 31 gram bowl of ramen that has nutrients and vitamins, everything you need. And for me, that lines up with my schedule. I work out, I also game for long periods of time, and I want to make sure whatever I'm stuffing down my face, that, well, it's good for me. And well, this has been a perfect fit. But this is what's really cool about this product. It has everything I need, and especially in a busy lifestyle, as I mentioned before, I'm streaming, I'm working out, and to be able to get a lunch that has all the calories and nutrients and vitamins I need, this has it. You guys also get some bundles as well, and you can save 10% off. That also supports me if you use NGNG at checkout. If you'd like more information about Vite Ramen, a link will be down in the description below. That's all right. I'm eating ramen with a fork. Does that bother you? It's okay. You can eat it with whatever you want. It's a free country. And of course, one of the first things you will notice is Caustic here, and specifically Caustic Valley Reborn. And that's actually where these patch notes pretty much start, is that Caustic Valley is getting a workover. Now, we've talked a lot about this. We knew it was coming. I've seen some of the images over on the Cauldron's Discord, and absolutely just a completely different map. A lot like how we saw HPG change, and Canyon Network for the most part stayed the same, but the center changed. And this is the center of Caustic Valley now. Yes, you heard me, the center of Caustic Valley. Now, we have a few images here, and I actually have some images that aren't on this website, and that's actually because Francois shared them a few days ago on my stream, which, by the way, if you haven't been over there, twitch.tv/NGNGTV. We have a great time, and sometimes the devs pop on by and share some things. So if you don't want to miss that and you just want to be a part of the community, again, I'll have a link down below in the description. Just click it, click that follow button, 12 to 6 p.m. every single day, Eastern time zone, by the way. Keep that in mind. Don't want you showing up like, random in the middle of the night, because time zones. But this is absolutely completely different. And I mean, my first initial reactions are, yay. I am so sick and tired of the old maps of just having this central figure what everybody just rotates around. Now, that being said, just like all maps, it's going to take some time getting used to. Even with HPG, Reborn, I don't know what we're calling it, HPG Network, we've seen a lot of mixed feelings out there. We've seen a lot of sniping occur, but not always. We see a lot of brawling. We have people going underneath and doing, basement strats. It's been quite interesting seeing the dynamic shift as far as HPG Network, and now we have the same thing occurring with Caustic Valley. Here's one of the first images shared with me by Francois, and like I said, this is quite the difference. This is the center of the map. To put it in perspective, Caustic has always had like a caldera, and lifted up, and once you go in, again, there's no really cover, concealment, and then on the outside of the caldera, you really had no cover and concealment. It seems like pretty much this adds a lot of cover to be able to bound from one area to the other. Really, again, just based off of images, don't know how the gameplay is going to be, but visually a lot different. Now, keep in mind, just a little bit of a heads up, you can see through the smoke if you use night vision. Little trick, just to let you guys know, not thermals, night vision. Might be a little bit bright, but you can see through it. Another image that was shared with me from Francois, the designer, and again, another look from a different angle of the new, caldera, if you will. Some sparse vegetation, and of course, what's funny with this is the blue flames that used to be a little bit more apparent on the original Caustic. Is actually this is actually based on a real life here on Earth, areas in, I believe, Africa, that this was sort of taken. Some people were like, oh, that's not real blue flames. It's like, actually, Sulfur is interesting. So anyway, so again, another look, and we have 2 more shots. Here's a spider overlooking the caldera. So what's going to be interesting for me and looking at this is, are we going to see dominant sniper positions like HPG? One of the issues with HPG and the sniper positions is it makes it very difficult to approach, the lack of approach, being able to, you have to run all the way behind. And if you don't have jump jets, I don't think that's going to be the case here. It doesn't look like there's any specific, like really, really high mounts. But of course you got the visual, blocking of the smoke and so forth and so on. And of course the last shot that was shared with me. So again, these are not on the website, and these images were shared with me during my live stream. And I just wanted to share them with you guys out there as well, because these weren't on the website. So very, very cool. As far as my initial impressions are, wow, this is going to be quite drastic. No more high caldera. And for those that are wondering why that is a problem, and he can talk about it. We've talked about it on a podcast with him before, which is it doesn't leave a whole lot of dynamic movement capability when there's no cover outside the caldera. Now, and again, you've got cover to your left if you're moving to the right, or you had cover to your right if you're moving to the left. But then outside of that, it was just a generally no man's land. And so that's also what forced some of the movement from the players and just how the speed of the game is right now. So anyways, those are initial images of Caustic. I will leave my judgment, of course, to be, I'll TLDR, like, don't know. We just have to find out, and we'll have to give this a try. But aesthetically, same old, gameplay ability. It looks like it's going to mix it up quite a bit, and we're all going to be like, run around with our chickens with their heads cut off, and we don't know where we're going to go. So stand by for that. Patch days are always crazy, especially when we have a very, very dynamic and map change and drastic map change like this. I'd almost equate this to Polar Highlands almost. And of course HPG. I mean, Canyon didn't change this much. And this is quite a drastic change, so stand by on that. Okay, after Caustic, we have some weapon adjustments just to sort of be mindful, and we'll go ahead and go over this really quick. As the continuation of our assessment of weapons performance since April, the following change has been made. Clan Large Pulse Laser has increased heat penalty multiplier to 6.25 from 4. In this patch, Clan Large Pulse Lasers have been adjusted to further limit the ability of firing 4 Clan Large Pulse Lasers and to make firing 3 large pulse lasers less frequent. Note that this change only affects the incurred penalty and does not change how the weapon works when no heat penalty is being applied. And, I would just like to point out quickly, this is where it's so difficult balancing this game, is where just, one change 2 patches ago, and you saw a huge fundamental shift away from clan ERPPCs being the dominant factor to large pulse, and then large pulse just rocking it. And now you can sort of see that they're chipping away. They want it to be viable, but of course, just how we as players are, we're going to find combinations and or ways to get the best performance out of these weapon systems. And Clan Large Pulse has been right there. Gauss rifles increase minimum heat penalty limit to 7 from 4. Interesting. We'll read the notes here. And increase minimum heat penalty to 7 from 3. And this is a lengthy one. In the current heat scale system, HSL, or Ghost Heat as a lot of people like to call it, Gauss rifles and various types of PPCs share the same penalty category. As a quirk pass continues, utilization of heat scale limit, HSL, when you see them in the quirks, limit boosters for the various types of PPCs are utilized on a number of mechs. However, such HSL quirks do not apply to Gauss rifles, resulting in unintentional heat penalties when firing some PPCs and Gauss combinations. This is due to the low heat penalty limit stats for Gauss rifles, which are not affected by the PPC HSL quirks. To be able to control the number of PPCs and Gauss weapons that are allowed to be used with no penalty in this patch, heat penalty limits for Gauss rifles are increased considerably. Despite the high limit, this does not affect the normal operation of Gauss and PPC combos. Since Gauss rifles have charge limit of 2, which acts as a hard limit on how many Gauss rifles can be used as an alpha, and all types of PPC weapons have a minimum heat penalty limit equal to 3 and above. As an example, this change will allow a mech with a PPC HSL quirk to fire 3 PPCs plus 1 Gauss rifle, or 2 heavy PPCs plus 1 Gauss rifle without any penalty. Now, what's interesting there is how potentially powerful that is, right? And specifically, it notates 3 PPCs and Gauss rifles I'm wondering if that is how that's going to be. Not many mechs can do that. It's mainly, to be fair, it's mainly assault mechs that we're talking about when you get into that type of weapon systems, just because of the tonnage involved. I mean, just heavy PPCs being 10 tons, and then PPCs on himself, I mean, that's 7 tons, you know, is that clan and IS and so forth, different tonnage requirements. But that's going to be interesting because it can make some really powerful pinpoint front-loaded PPFLD damage weapons out there, and we've seen the curve of those being sort of, it happened in the past. We got some major nerfs towards that, and so I guess the question I have is, are we seeing the shift because maybe some of those need to come back, but they need a little bit more finite control, of course, on the outcome, because as we all know, what we were talking about, the large pulse, is the players will find a way. Rocket Launcher 10 added exponential damage fall off under 50 meters instead of minimum range. Reduced range to 500 from 540. That's actually interesting. That basically allows the Rocket 10s to not have to worry about minimum range, but they, obviously have damage fall off, exponential instead of just a hard cap. So for those that aren't aware, basically if you were inside that 50 meters you fired, you just got no damage whatsoever. And now, I do remember a period in time when rocket launchers first launched, and the very first stream I had, I got insta melted by a rocket launcher mech just coming up and being able to just blap you right in the back with, all that pinpoint damage, because again, the closer you are. So it's interesting that they're doing this, and they have some notes here. In order to make rocket launchers more appealing to a wider number of mechs, including heavy and assault mechs, rocket launchers are tuned to have damage fall off under 50 meters instead of hard cutoff minimum range. The fall of curve off has been set to exponentially to cut the damage output with a steeper slope in order to balance its performance when firing point blank range. Moreover, to promote synergy between different size rocket launchers, ranges have been normalized at 500 across 3 launchers. Now, all that being said, this is an interesting move just because generally speaking, rocket launchers are an afterthought. But in the past, what was happening is they were a primary weapon system, and you'd actually have some light mechs and medium mechs be literally just, 1 or 2 shot wonders. But those 1 or 2 shots could instantly delete an assault mech, actually any mech, I should say, if they hit it, but specifically larger mechs. So that's interesting that they're doing that. I'll definitely keep an eye and see if we'll see any mechs or anybody running them to see, how much that's affected it. And obviously, it's not like they increase the spread or decrease the spread. It's not like they, obviously they increase the range here, but they didn't make me more powerful. All they did is allow them to be able to fire a little bit closer instead of that 50 meters. So, this will allow mechs to sneak up and fire point blank into your back. So just sort of keep that in mind. All right, moving on to some fun stuff that everyone's gonna love here. Clan LRM 20, 15, 10, and 5s. They could have just said clan LRMs at that point. Increase per missile health values to, there's a lot of numbers there. This patch includes a slight boost to missile health stats in clan LRM launchers. This is to improve their performance and consistency, specifically for smaller launchers. Clan LRM salvo would be able to push 1 to 2 missile more per salvo past the AMS protective bubble, depending on the size of the launcher and or active AMS system. This is actually interesting. I'm for this. It's a good middle ground. My main issue is I still don't think this fixes the main problem with LRMs / LRMs and indirect capabilities to AMS capabilities. They're 1-in-1 right now, and that's mainly due to the information sharing, and that's a bigger conversation, but this is a step in the right direction. I still feel like, that bigger fix that could happen needs to be discussed later when PG has the resources to be able to do that. Mech default loadout adjustments. This patch includes adjustments to maximum engine limits on a number of underperforming mechs as an attempt to maintain balance between variants of the same chassis and or same weight class and roles. Now, this is an interesting one just because it touches on a few mechs here. Max engine has been increased on the following variants. Some fleas from 170 to 180. And again, I'm not really a flea pilot, so I'm sure there's others out there that are, happy about this. And of course, the Vindicator max increase on the following variants. The 1AA, that's interesting. The 300, obviously rounded up there. 1R from 235 all the way up to 250. Now, why is this interesting? This is interesting because you have other mechs out there like the Blackjack, And to be fair, I'm going to be perfectly honest here. I actually don't know the reason why any mechs have I'm sure there's a rule set from the tabletop of like what a mech can have potentially as the max engine. I don't know if that's based on the primary engine that it's equipped with, and then that's why some variants have more. But it should be flexible, and if anything, if it adds to those mechs being used, I don't think that's a bad thing. The one thing I will say about the Vindicator is it is severely quirked, so if this is makes it any better, you may have to look at it down the road. But Hatamoto Chi Max engine has increased on the following variants: 325 from 290 and 325 from 290. Now, what I'm interested in is why was not mechs like the Highlander and stuff increased, because the Highlander is one of those mechs that could dramatically use that. So that's a question for the Cauldron. Direwolf, of course, the Prime no longer has ECM. You cannot continue to get the ECM out of that. You'll have to wait for either buy the Warden pack, or you'll have to wait for the C-Bill version to come out, which in my opinion too, the Warden pack is still very good value, even if you just like the Timby. Again, I've made a video on the best Timberwolf setup, in my opinion, at the moment. Make sure to go check out that video. Mech quirks. Now, I'm not going to go through these quirks, guys. This is a massive, massive list. It is a bigger list of quirk changes. I mean, from A all the way down. I mean, you can just see here. It's a massive list as I scroll. It's just a blur. So I'm not going to go through that. What I will do is I will go through mechs during my live streams, test things out. People are probably going to bring some stuff to my attention. I'd recommend going and just, peruse through, see if there's anything on your favorite chassis or whatever. But it's a monstrous list. And I'm not going to go through them. It's just you're literally going to be brain dead out there, and you have better time and better things to do. You can go read it if you want, but especially sometimes it's like we removed this, but then we replaced it with this. It's a lot of stuff. So there are some things to note. Some lights are getting a ammo increase per ton quirk, which I think is actually pretty cool. There's some unique stuff like that. And there's some other interesting quirks that I think they're testing out there. I don't know if they made it in the patch, but stuff like being able to give certain mechs a little bit more role specific, i.e. from the skill tree added back to the mech. And this has been talked about. I don't know if that was actually done. I don't see it here just right off the bat, but I did talk to Naveen a bit. Naveed was talking about, the potential of being able to take, like, why can't a Locust or some of these very unused mechs that don't have a whole lot of firepower, why can't they be given special quirks like radar deprivation built in or seismic sensor and stuff? I think that's a bigger question, and I'll leave that to another video to talk about skill tree replacement, which I recently talked to Matt Newman and Darren Katz over from Piranha Games about potential future stuff, and again, that was live on stream, so make sure to pop on by. Guys, it's going to be a fun patch, just because it's always fun when we get new toys to play with as far as quirk changes. It's always good to bust things out. Of course, I get a lot of requests for playing certain mechs or chassis when this patch hits. Caustic Valley, it's been needed, as far as the map. We do know the next map is going to be Viridian Bog being reworked. I know a lot of people were commenting about that, so that's actually official. That has been confirmed by Piranha Games. Matt Newman and Darren Katz live again on my stream. They mentioned that Viridian Bog is being redone, if you will. I think what we're seeing here is some maps need a little bit more attention than others. But as of right now, they did mention we will probably be getting another map rework every single month. So obviously October would be Viridian Bog, and that leaves November and then December for 2021. And then we're right in 2022. It's flying by. So anyways, I will be live on Tuesday when this comes out. If you guys would like to partake and interact, make sure to be there. This has been your patch notes, and I hope to see you on the live stream on Tuesday. Again, servers will go down at 1 p.m. Eastern, and they usually are down for about an hour, sometimes not even less, and we'll just hang out while we're doing that. So anyways, hope to see you guys on the next video. Until next time.